Okay, thank you very much, Aisha, for that introduction. I hope I don't let you guys down. If you notice with my slides, I'm going through a series of animations that I have created just for you. Did you see that one? Okay. Now, before we begin, when I left Namibia, people didn't believe I was actually coming to Nigeria. So could everybody please just do a crazy pose and have a selfie with me? They say if there are no pictures, it didn't happen. Okay, please, so. Crazy. Thank you very much. Okay, now we begin. So the title of my talk is UX Design for Developers or Naahhh, which means should developers actually worry about UX design or not at all? Is it even your business as a back-end or as a front-end developer or whatever type of developer it is that you are? We will go through this is the agenda or talking points or to-do list or whatever you want to call it. So the question would be, why now? That's the first one. How did I get into this? Now we will start. And then, okay, we will be in the middle. Eventually, we'll get almost to the end. And then eventually, oh yeah, I should have removed the last part. It says remove before presentation. I hope it's not too bad. Okay. Now, why now? More and more so, we are starting to realize that there's a large adoption of mobile that is coming to Africa. I think the stats are crazy. You can look them up about the probability or why Africa is actually the biggest in terms of mobile adoption. For many reasons, it could be because for a lot of people, they're only coming online now, and the way they're coming online is through mobile devices and not through how the rest of the world, via the .com boom and everything else, are coming online. We also have what you call differentiation of service. Earlier, I attended Simi's presentation. It was about businesses, building products that the market will love. And she said that you need to find your competitors and then find how do you differentiate your service. At the end of the day, we all have Uber. There's Uber, there's Taxify, there's all the other people. But what is more personal to you? That's one. Number two, we are generating copious amounts of data. Every other day, everybody here is generating a lot of data. Wouldn't you want tailor-made services for you, specifically software services for you? But the only way to do that is if you are designing user interfaces that are actually self-intuitive for individuals. And then, of course, that feeds into the personalization of software, and then the evolution of design principles. A few years back, I think until now, last month I actually saw a software that was released and it looked like it ran on Windows XP because of the design of it all. I think it's more skeuomorphic than flat design. So flat design is the whole new thing, right? Now, we also learned that different platforms have different design principles, from your iOS applications, which is your iPhones, to your Android applications. So all of those ones have a different set of design principles that you need to conform to. All of this all feed into what you call the customer experience. At the end of the day, we need to realize and remember that the customer is always right. Okay, not always, because some people are just unreasonable. But when it comes to interacting with your product, the customer should always be right. Don't make it a hassle. Remember, we now this is the best time to be alive in the world because we now have options. If you don't deliver, I'm moving. Do you understand? So we really need to care about the customer experience. So again, nobody likes wasting time on simple tasks. They are busy trying to pretend to be busy. We all know those people. We are busy pretending to be busy, unless, of course, it's procrastinating via YouTube and cute Ninja Turtle baby dinosaurs. If you haven't watched it, go on YouTube and Google. You'll be impressed what you'll find. Thank me later. Now, how did I get into this? I was a graduate student living it up. So I don't know about you in Nigeria if this is also the case, but in Namibia, okay, let's start over. Namibia has a population of about exactly 2.5 million people. 2.5 million people. And it's the same size, it's really big, let me just say that. It's the size of Portugal and Germany put together. That's how big it is. I think it's almost the same size as Nigeria, but we only have 2.5 million people. It's not the same. Okay, you see, now you are awake. Let's go there. Okay, so we have a really huge we have a really huge country, but the problem with that, it means now that when you have a town, everybody actually is congregated in one town. So I mean, I won't even lie. I think the population of just where we are now, like the whole, I think it's called LGA, right? The whole LGA is not even the population of the whole country. So Windhoek, the largest city, is about maybe now 500,000 people. That's a lot of people, to us at least. So whenever you move around, everybody knows everybody, right? So if I don't know you, I know you through somebody because you are my cousins, brothers, sisters, neighbors, shop owners, whatever. So I know you. And when you are, even as a university student, you can't just do whatever it is that you want. Because before you reach home, there is a phone call that reaches you while you're in town from the village. I heard you did what. Now imagine myself, I'm a graduate student living in Europe, and there's nobody who knows me. Do you understand the power and the freedom that comes with that territory? Nobody knows me. So firstly, I was an African prince, for sure. Yes, hello, we have to enter places. I was an African prince, and then I would tell people, like, just because, I don't know, it's not my fault people don't know these things, that we don't have lions as pets. So they'll always say, what do you miss most about? I'm like, I miss hunting, kudus, petting my... I haven't seen a lion in my entire life. But I always said, that I miss those things. Now, anyway, so this some of my friends and I was at a university, had a really good foreign student exchange program. And also, so we had other students from all over the world as well. So this is actually in a picture I took in the Swiss Alps. But this day, there was a test written. I was in the Swiss Alps, people were writing a test. So I had a good time. And of course, I love to chill. That's what I do best. If you want to chill, you must hang out with me. I will show you. And you see, that's an example of chilling. I took all my fellow classmates and I said, you know what, the river is flooded. Let's go cross into the river. There are benches and go chill there. And that's what we did. And by the way, that's beer, no? I was in Germany. That's water. Okay. Now, how did I get into this? So, of course, I myself come from a technical background. I did networks and systems administration because I figured that's a lot of fun. Who wants to program anyway? You code, things don't run, and then you have a headache for years. And then when it does run, you don't even know why or how. So I figured, let me go for the technical side of things. At least if it's working, the light goes on. Okay. Now, I then became a cutting-edge, hardcore front-end developer. That's what I did to myself, because first it was XML, I know, but still, I figured, I'm coding, I'm a developer. And that was C#. Remember, around this time was when we had I think Microsoft just released their Metro-styled ARM tablets and stuff. So we had to work on a project. And we were developing an application for an insurance company. So I decided I can't do back-end stuff because, well, I didn't like programming in the first place. So I don't want to deal with the back-end. At least, I mean, what's so difficult about developing a UI anyway? Just a few blocks here, enter here, text, name. It's not that difficult. I thought so. Now, what ended up happening is I thought UX meant UI. The user interface is the user experience. I was wrong. Because in the final presentation, one of our professors just stood up and flat out said, this thing sucks. Those are the words he used. This thing sucks. Yes, it works, it does what it's supposed to, but the user interface is so bad. So myself, the one thing about me is I don't back down from a challenge. Well, at least I choose my battles very carefully, but I don't back down from a challenge. So I thought, wait, I spent so many hours researching how to do design, firstly, and also how to program. And the last thing was, at the time, Microsoft Visual Studio was so buggy. When you had bugs or errors, you didn't know is it your code, is it the IDE? You didn't know which was it was. So I felt like I put in so many hours to be told my work sucks. So I got a job in the user experience department of one of the largest middleware vendors in Germany. Because I figured if I'm struggling with this, how many other people are actually struggling with it as well? Now we are going to start. That was just, like a prologue. we need to realize, I'm not going to give you a lecture on UX. I'm not here for that, because I realize a lot of people think to do UX, you need to waste a lot of time. That's not what I'm here for. I would just like to at least spark that interest that you need to be cognizant of the fact that UX matters, and UX does not equal UI. UX talks about things such as usability testing. Can you use it? User research, understanding and try. You need to understand. Simi mentioned in her talk, I don't know, for those of you that were upstairs on floor number 5, she mentioned that you need to understand what do people want. Don't tell them your solution, ask them what is it that they want. Is there a problem that you're going to fix? And of course, use your user stories. User stories are amazing tools that you can use to actually tell a story with your product as well. Lastly, personas. Personas. There are so many cool ways to do a persona. I personally like drawing pictures and giving a persona a name, an age, interests, weaknesses, when and how they will interact with the product that you are trying to build. That gives you context. And the context also enables you to realize what features you might want to build into your product. Now, after all of that is done, you come with your wireframes. A wireframe is something you can build with a paper and pencil. And then you send it over to UI for the building of their different interfaces. That's the layout, visual design, and also branding. So, I will not read that. You can read the one at the bottom. I personally live by 3 commandments when it comes to UX. One is you are not your users. Second is know thy users. And the third one is not all users are the same. Now, on that last one, you'll find out exactly why I'm saying that. You know your product inside and out. So, well, since you thought of it, I would think you should know your product inside and out. It's your product after all. And even if you didn't think of the product, you should be able at least to tell me what your product does and how it does it. You might end up wasting a lot of person hours. By the way, notice the word person hours, because we can't say man hours anymore. We need to be cognizant of those things as well. That's another area that we need to look into. There's nothing worse than writing code that is going to be discarded. There's nothing worse than that. You are wasting your time. You could have built something better. So knowing how people will use something is essential. Donald Norman is actually one of the biggest frontiers when it comes to usability. Go look him up as well. You'll learn a whole lot more. UX without users is not UX. User experience. So this means you need to know their users. What do people actually really want from your product? If you don't know what they want, then you cannot build for them as well. You might build a tool, and that tool will remain on your phone, on your desktops, or on your laptops. Nobody will ever adopt it. Imagine that's a flop. Nobody wants that. Lastly, again, no, not lastly, for know their users lastly, you need to have your objectives as to why you want to do this. A hypothesis is just an assumption of what do you think your users might want to do in this case. One way to determine that is via desktop search. Simple. Just go on your computer and Google similar products. You will know what people are saying. Another one is look for complaints of a similar company or a similar product that is being offered. Look at what are people complaining about. That will give you an idea of what exactly can you offer that the others are not offering. You need to use different methods to find out. Simi gave the example of go to the street and just talk to the people. We have now the power of the internet. Online questionnaires, they do the analytics for you at least to an extent, and you can do. Of course, you come up with your research, you synthesize and look for the different opportunities, and then you move on towards the design phase. Now, not all users are the same. Some users know what they want, and they can tell you. Some know what they want, and they want you to tell them. Others know what they want, but they can't tell you. Some just want everything. Some don't know what they want, but they know they want something. And then they say, some don't even want. Okay? Some don't want, they actually need. And the last dangerous type of user is, some don't really want, but they just have FOMO. So FOMO is the fear of missing out. So just because other people are having it, some people buy, like, let's say, very expensive smartphones. It's not because they really want it. It's because, their friend has it, so they also have to get it. So some people are like that. So you need to know, they are not the same. So you need to differentiate as to what type of users do you have. Are you targeting everybody, or are you targeting a specific segment of the market? So you need to know their users. Okay, now we're in the middle. Don't have to worry about it. So I still don't want to make, so maybe you think, you know what, many people don't know how to make things look pretty. Right? I don't want to make things look pretty. I'm a developer. I don't have to. Yeah, don't worry. UX is not about that. Hire a graphic designer. They'll do that for you. They'll make it look very beautiful. That is not UX. UX does not deal with beautification directly. However, the user flow and the way the user actually interacts with your product is the beauty that comes with UX. Just ask some basic questions. It's all I ask you. If you are going to start out with a project or a product, just ask some basic questions. During, before you actually start, during, and after you are done with your project. It will save you so much energy. You must, like honestly, you must listen, iterate on design, and plus you won't die. If you just like, I understand that sometimes in some places, user experience is a very expensive process. Why? Because it takes a lot of time. And not every project has a lot of time for you to fit a proper user experience and usability study within your project. But just ask some basic questions. Take a day and just ask, not even a day, even half a day. Just get to know who are your users. I promise you, the insights you'll get from there will actually elevate your product and not break your product down. Now, we're almost at the end. Don't worry, we're almost done. I know the day has been long. So the one thing we need to realize is developers and UXers share a common goal. We all care about efficiency. So a developer might say, is the process an efficient use of resources? One of the few things that is killing mobile nowadays are those apps that constantly are consuming battery power. You install the app. I had a conversation with, was it Wale? Am I saying it right? Okay, sharp. So with Wale, and he's saying, no, he has to uninstall one app because it's taking up 200 megabytes of his memory. And if it takes 200 megabytes to download the app, imagine how much data you're directly generating with that app that is now taking up space on your phone. And you can't take pictures, selfies, because now your phone memory is taken up. So that is what they are worried about. Are you efficiently making use of the resources? UX says, is the process efficient for the user? Do you understand? You are worried about the resources. UX is concerned about the user. Don't bombard the user's brain with a lot of jargon, with a lot of unnecessary extra clicks just to get to something you could have given to them upfront. Every single action, every single element, every single whistle and bell that you put on the screen must have a purpose. If it does not have a purpose, take it off the screen. It doesn't make sense. What you are doing is the purpose. The only thing that you are doing is annoying your potential users and making them not want to use your solution. Okay, we are almost at the end now. Okay, almost there. We are almost done. Now, if you look at this diagram over here, you have a project. We say that the user flow should define the technical scope and not the other way around. What that means is, first draw how is the user going to, what is the storyline? How is the user going to use your product? And then put the technical scope on top of that. Now, these are just some references for you to go and look up if you are interested. I'm almost done. Yes, I'm in time. Okay. So, if you can read this and you're interested in learning more about UX, the list below is really important to look at. Just for your own reading, there is an extensive list of resources out there. These are just the ones I think I found very interesting for myself. Designing the Obvious by Robert Hookman, Jr., Sketching User Experiences by Bill Baxton, and Don't Make Me Think by Steve Kruger. But please, Norman Nielsen's work is really amazing because those guys are from Scandinavia, and the Scandinavian area are really pioneers within the user experience department of things. So, thank you very much for your time. My name is Gabriel Nhinda. Call me G. I'm at Just Shingapi on Twitter. And also PyCon Namibia is where I came from and get to know all these amazing people. And of course, before I finish my talk, I would like to say a very big thank you to the University of Namibia, firstly, for signing my leave form to enable me to travel here, and also for supporting this community, because they have always been helpful, and they made sure that at least I made it to PyCon Nigeria, and of course, all the organizers of PyCon Nigeria. So thank you very much.